Hey all, and welcome to another video ball review, this time for the Rotogrip RST-X2. In this video, going to be comparing the RST-X2 along with the Rubicon UC-2 and the Hustle Wine. So a couple of the more newer releases out of the Rotogrip line. And in this comparison, like I said, you'll see the UC2, actually one of the most requested balls to be reviewed or compared against, along with the dart code. But in this video, we're going to stay with the Rotogrip brand and going to show the comparison between the new RSTX2 and the UC2, along with the Hustle Wine. Something a little bit different about this video, obviously, that you'll see starting off, is that I'm going to talk through these things a little bit more before I actually get into the video, and kind of cut down on the talking over the ball reaction. So if you're interested in just the ball reaction, feel free to skip to a couple of minutes in, and you won't have to listen to me blather on. So as I mentioned, first we're going to compare the RSTX2, which is the layout on that is going to be 4 by 4.5 by 1, and it's designed to lay off a little bit more. Story on that is I was really having a difficult time with matching up with asymmetrical balls outside of the code line. Code line has always been great. So I had asked Hank Boomershine when I was laying out my second intense fire, what should I do? I struggle with just having an over-under ball reaction with asymmetrical cores typically, especially when they're pearl. So that hockey stick reaction that folks like to see has never really matched up well for me. And Hank gave me a layout for my intense fire. I asked him again with the the RSTX2, what should I do with this one? Because the cores are so much different. And that 4 by 4.5 by 1 is what he gave me. And it works out really, really well. My intense fire was one of my favorite asymmetrical balls in the last 5 or 6 years. And I really feel like this one is going to be the same because it gives me that versatility without having to worry about too much of an over-under reaction. The UC2, by comparison, laid that out to really lean into the asymmetrical core. So you'll see it's designed to have more of a hockey stick reaction because of that mildly asymmetrical core that's designed to mimic a symmetrical core with a weight hole in it versus your standard asymmetrical core. So even though the UC2 is laid out a lot stronger, you'll see in the comparison the difference between the two balls. It's very stark because the RSTX2 is laid out to kind of lay off, and the UC2 is drilled to really keep going. And you'll see just by design of the core and the cover how much stronger the RSTX2 is with that new E-Trax Plus Pearl cover stock. So new cover stock, same core that was on the RSTX1. And you'll see really just by design how much how much stronger that ball is. So what I'm going to start off with is the RSTX2, and you'll see in the video the shot that's being bowled on. It's a typical house shot from a center that's quite a bit older, built in 1955. So one of the older houses here in Omaha, just recently renovated and looks very nice. West Lanes. If you're in the Omaha area, I would recommend checking out West Lane's. Chop's redesign has gotten a lot of attention, and well should it have. But West Lane's actually has a new design, new masking units, new paint. It's looking kind of newly retro. So, but that house shot is designed to have a little bit more oil in the middle, have a little bit more drier on the outside. And you'll see a couple of shots that I start off with the RSTX2. I'm in the oil line, and it's really, it gets there, has some shaker sevens. You'll see a couple of shots that kind of barely, get the 10 out. So what I decided to do was kind of get a little bit more left, open up my angles, slow down my ball speed, and try and bounce it off the dry. So actually my goal was to try and throw it in the gutter, and I could not do it because there was that much dry on the outside part of the lane. And you'll see that is where the ball really starts to shine, is when it starts to bounce off that hook on the outside. You'll see it really getting through the pins a lot better, almost leave a stone 9, then I actually do leave a stone 9. And then you'll start seeing the ball wrap a couple of 10s because the ball is coming in so much further behind the head pin. That would probably be the ideal line on that fresh shot, but unless I were to try and move outside and really up my ball speed. So when I ball down to the UC2, what you'll see actually is sort of a similar ball reaction where things are coming in a little bit later. But keep in mind that ball is laid out so much stronger than the RSTX2 that, all else being equal, you'll see the difference in the cores in those two balls, because the RSTX-2 really wants to rev up and get going, where the UC-2 is a little bit smoother, and it's more of that more typical what you would see from an old symmetrical ball with a weight hole in it. So then I also move in left, slow the ball down with the UC-2, and you'll see that similar reaction as I migrate left. Then we'll move back to the track there at the end of the UC-2 video to compare to the hustle wind. So when I go to the hustle wind, what you'll see is generally a lot less motion, have to move a little bit further right. And at this point, I was probably about 6 games in. So the track starts breaking down a bit. So the lane actually catches up to the balls. So I didn't really have to move too much further than like 2 and 1 right with the hustle wind, and the lane started catching up. And actually I ended up having to go back 1 left. So you'll see a couple of shots with the hustle wind going up the track, and you'll actually see a pretty smooth motion for a pearl ball. But definitely one that is, when you get into that 6, 7 games on a higher friction surface, definitely the type of ball reaction that you want to see. And you'll see as I go left and try and slow the ball down and bounce it off the dry, it actually doesn't recover as well as the other 2 balls do. And, again, that's probably what I want to see for later in the block. I don't want to have to be able to get in that far left and be slow hooking the ball with a hustle. So finally, I do go back to the RSTX-2 to show what that kind of burn shot looks like, to go back to the track and really try and freewheel the ball, throw it essentially as hard as I could, and see what the ball was able to do. And actually on this shot, that's where it really started to shine. So the last few shots you'll see is moving back to the track after 6 or 7 games worth of play, and getting into the 12 to 15 range to be able to bounce it off that 7, 8, 9 range, and you'll see where that ball really starts to shine. So I posted one video for National Bowling Day for Share a Strike, where it just kind of ripped the rack with the RSTX-2, and that was one of the one of my best shots of the day, and that was in that line. So I really see this ball fitting on a little bit higher friction surface, or a little bit lower volume type pattern, where there's kind of dry to the right, or on a flatter pattern, a little bit more dry to the left, to be able to kind of bounce it off that dry and really see the ball react off the dry. Because if you get it in the oil, it's a little, the way I have it laid out anywho, it's a little too smooth and doesn't really pop off in that dry, which is exactly how I wanted it to react. So you'll really see with this particular layout and that strong core and strong cover combination, where when it has that little bit of friction, what you see on a lot of house patterns, where you see a little bit more friction in the either from the lane surface or from the pattern, where you see a little bit more friction to the the 7, 8, 9 part of the lane. You'll see where it really kind of rolls smoothly through the pins and just kind of rips the rack, pushes everything to the back of the deck, and you see that ball going off the 8-pin spot exactly where you want to see it as the ball's going through the deck. So really hope you appreciate and enjoy the video. If there's any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to put it down in the chat. I really appreciate folks putting questions in the comments, not the chat. Appreciate folks putting comments back. So the Rotogrip RST-X2 is available August 27th from your Storm VIP Pro Shop. Again, thanks so much for your time, and bowl up a storm.